by saying when we meet someone, typically for the first time, you're always asked 3 questions. So, anybody here meet someone new tonight? Okay, so first question is, what's your name? Obviously, you all know now, my name is Karli Johnson. Now, typically that second question is, where are you from? So how many of you are from the DeKalb Sycamore area? Okay, a lot of you. Raise your hand if you are not from this area. Okay, raise your hand if you went to school at NIU, and then you kind of just stayed around. Yeah, I was that a little bit. Okay, how many of you went to school at NIU and then you left, and then you came back? Hey, that's me too. That's fun. All right. So the funny thing about me is I went to NIU for my undergrad years in 2007. And so the funny part about that is when I went off to DeKalb, I met all my cool friends from the city and the suburbs, and they're all like, oh, DeKalb, corn, good. And I'm like, you guys have a Target. Now, I grew up in a town of 600 people. So the fact that I could go to a Target, and I had never had Starbucks before, I didn't know what a Chipotle was, like I was in heaven, okay? So I grew up, anybody here from the Quad Cities area? Or no, Quad Cities, Mississippi, Whitey's Ice Cream, Johnny's Tractors? Yeah? All right, yeah, QC girl over here. But I grew up in a small little tiny town farm outside of the Quad Cities. And so when I went off to NIU, I was so proud to tell people where you're from, where I grew up. And a big part of that was because we had things like bring your tractor to school day, where the kids, now no joke, they would bring their John Deere tractors and they would parade them around the parking lot. And we got off of school for a rodeo, and we got like so many excused absences if you went hunting with your family. That's how like redneck we were. So yeah, DeKalb got you beat. But anyways, I loved telling people I grew up in this small little farm town because nothing bad happened there, right? Like there was no gang violence, and when we heard sirens, it was like, oh no, I hope the old lady's okay and didn't have a heart attack or hurt her leg, or oh gosh, it was just this wholesome little small town where nothing bad happened and everyone knew everything. But we also knew, and excuse my French, that was also bullshit. Because in those small towns, yeah, violence might not be happening in the streets, but where is it happening? In homes. My senior year of high school, before I went off to college, we had an incident where a woman was beaten, she was tied to a chair, and she was burnt in a cornfield in our surrounding area. And I remember thinking, first off, how could that even happen? But also we had heard stories of like that on the news happening other places, but how could that happen in my little town, right? And so the thing is, I was this small little naive farm girl who went off to school at big old DeKalb, Illinois. And then my freshman year, we had a shooting. And it was another incident of, how could this be happening in our small little towns? But then it was also realizing, oh, I'm in a dating violent relationship. Oh, I just experienced sexual harassment at this party. Oh, I was just sexually harassed by my boss. Oh, I was just raped by my best friend. Oh, one thing after another. And I soon realized that violence, that trauma, it happens in every town, right? It's happening as we speak. But the thing about it, no matter where you're from, where you live, not only is that violence happening, but there are people there doing something to stop that violence, which is why we're here today. Now that brings me to my third question is, what do you do? How many of you have been asked that question? What do you do? So in high school, it's usually, oh, well, what activities are you involved in? Or once you go off to college, it's what's your major? What do you study? How many of you you've switched that answer around a lot in your life? Anyone? I changed my major 3 times. And I also have to tell you, I hope you all realize that you are standing in front of NIU, a little bit of royalty here. I was Victor E. Husky. Now,
woo!
I say this, I have to preface this. Yes, it's hot in there. Everyone, no shit, it's hot in there. Anyways, but yes, I am and was Victor E. Husky. And I share this because when people ask me, oh, well, what do you do? I'm like, I can tell you what my career and my job is, or I can actually tell you what it is I do, who I am as a person. So for example, when I meet someone for the first time, I usually say, oh, well, I am a speaker, I'm an educator, I travel all over the country, and then the follow-up question is, oh, what do you speak on? And it depends on my mood. If I don't want to talk to someone, I'll either say rape, oh. But also, if I say that, I'm gonna be, one time, example, I was at a wedding, and I said, oh yeah, I work at a rape crisis center, and this was years ago when I was a prevention educator and an advocate for a rape crisis center near Chicago. And I said that, and then I spent the entire wedding in the bathroom with a woman who disclosed her sexual abuse that she never told anyone. So the idea is nobody wants to talk about rape or domestic violence, but then everyone wants to talk about rape and domestic violence, right? How many in here of you work at Safe Passage, you volunteered at some point in your life, you're on the board, or you've volunteered at an event, like all of these hands raised. First off, what you do is incredible. It's such empowering work. And I'd like everybody in here to give another round of applause for those people because people ask me all the time, how did you get involved in this work? How are you nationally known as the rape lady who pooped your pants? Now again, watch the TEDx talk, it'll make more sense that way. But the point is, when we ask people what we do, what our career is, what our job is, what we also really want to know is, I don't care if you're in accounting, I don't care if you work as whatever, I want to know what you are doing to make our world a better place. What are you doing to stop this violence from happening, to supporting survivors, to supporting victims? Every single one of you are here tonight because you have somehow been impacted. Anybody here though been dragged here and you didn't want to come? No? Okay, that's good. Well, no, I got an eyebrow raised now. Okay, good. So we're all agreed that we want to be here. Okay, we want to make a difference. We want to make an impact. But the thing is, these events are beautiful and they're wonderful, but it's just one night, right? So one of the things I want you to do before you leave tonight, I want you to meet someone else. I want you to tell them what your name is, where you're from, but that last thing is what you do. What are you doing to support this incredible organization? Because I'm going to tell you one thing I'm doing tonight to support this. Years ago, I think this is about 8 years now, 8 or 9 years, I was sitting in my dorm room, and I was sitting on my bed, and I was shaking. And I will never forget this. And I had these giant tears just streaming down my face. And it wasn't even because of my abuse and my traumas. It was because I had another friend, another family member, another person disclose their sexual abuse and their dating violence to me. And I will never forget sitting there thinking, what am I going to do? What the hell? I've never been to a counselor. I've never called a crisis center. I never even told my story before. But I had another person who felt that they could tell me their story come to me. And I was overwhelmed and in tears, and I didn't know what to do. And I looked up a crisis number. And I had the number in my hand, and I called Safe Passage. And it was the first time in my life, the first time that someone gave me empathy, that someone listened to me, that someone let me talk instead of saying, oh, well, why didn't you do that? Why didn't you tell someone sooner? Why didn't you get help? Why didn't you fight back? Why didn't you this? Why didn't you this? I sat there on my bed talking to someone for the first time. And to that day, I remember thinking, I want to do this. I want to be that one person for someone else. And so it blows my mind that almost 10 years later, I'm here in front of you today standing and talking not only as a survivor, not only as somebody who lived in this community, who had traumas, who was sick and tired of these things happening over and over and over again to not just me, but my friends and my family. And so I decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it. And I'm going to do that by sharing my story. I'm going to do that by supporting events like this, right? I'm going to do that by writing a big old fat check, right? Anyone? No? I'm just playing around. I mean, you can do that, go ahead. But the thing about it is, being here at an event to celebrate love, to celebrate Safe Passage, to celebrate all the wonderful, amazing things that we are doing, I want you all tonight to go home saying that what you do is you are changing your community, you are changing the world, you are changing lives for survivors like myself and for all of these incredible workers at this organization. So from the bottom of my heart, from that 19-year-old little girl, not little girl I guess I should say, but that 19-year-old student who didn't know what to do, who sat on her bed and for the first time in her life had someone truly listen to her, you are here tonight to support all of those people. So again, go meet someone new, get a drink, get a balloon, get a drink, tell them your name, tell them where you're from, tell them how you're proud to be in this community, and I want you to tell them about how you spread love instead of violence and what you're doing to support Safe Passage. So again, thank you. Again, can we clap one more time for this amazing event? For all of you viewers at home. And again, thank